Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Gaming, tech, culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
You're listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast, presented by SayWHA Radio.
All right. It is Wednesday night, so you know what time it is. SayWHA Radio should be here. But as I said before, wanted to do things a little bit different in 2019. So bringing you a new show, new flavor we've been friends for a long time. Well, I've known you for a long time. I love you for a long time. And then I became friends with you, which is so weird. But Brother Jules is joining me on the first ever Cool Black Nerd.
First time.
Yes.
The Cool Black Nerd Podcast. I'm going to tell you what. You said something. You said something about a brand new flavor in your ear. Let me get that in the intro. You got to give me a sample of Craig Mack on the intro.
Okay. All right. I'll throw that in. Forgive us for this. We're still setting everything up. Hopefully by the next show, we'll have everything up for you guys. Intro, artwork, all that. Be sure to check out social media. SayWHA Radio, we'll have that on there. We'll also get that going on Cool Black Nerd for everything else. But just be on the lookout for it. So
coming soon to an Instagram near you.
So you want to tell the peoples why you wanted to do Cool Black Nerd?
Well, honestly, it's because I'm black. I'm a nerd. I think I'm a cool guy. I think there's a lot of people that are like me, kind of interested in the same stuff. I kind of got inspired by what you're doing with SayWHA Radio. So I say, you know what? What if I decide to put something out there like that? See where it goes. I guess kind of what I envision us, talking about, however often we end up doing something like this. I would say, just kind of whatever, but kind of gaming, comics, movies, TV shows, a little bit of politics because I'm into that. And I'm sure some people are too. So, I think that's it.
All right. Yeah, I think it makes sense because a lot of the stuff we do talk about on SayWHA Radio tends to be on the what the hell is this for real? Are you serious type thing? So we still got, we're multifaceted. We have other interests and everything like that. So as Jules said, what we'll do on here is mainly talking about as what he said. So first thing that I saw, and we had talked about a little bit, I cannot say how much, I guess, both of us love to play video games. I know in the beginning when I would say I would play video games, a lot of people were kind of like, oh, you just don't want to grow up. That's still a kid's thing. Why are you doing that? Now it's more accepted. There's a whole genre, esports and everything that's becoming built around it. They're doing arenas, things like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Anthem, that was a new video game that just came out recently from BioWare. Is it backed by EA?
Yeah, so the publisher is EA, famous for EA Sports. It's in the game, the Madden people, the NBA Live people. Unfortunately for the game Anthem, EA just doesn't have the greatest reputation right now. And they've become known for having loot boxes and just trying to nickel and dime their customers out of everything. Like they'll have a $60 game, and then within that game, they want you to start purchasing all these loot boxes to get little rewards in the game, charging ridiculous prices for things that you think would be simple, like maybe to get some customized tennis shoes on your player in the basketball game. They'll try to charge you like $10. It's just something crazy when the game itself is already $60. So that's what they do now. I think it kind of starts with the whole, just once these companies really became like publicly traded, everything kind of switched to just how can we extract the maximum amount of money from people? And I think that's what you're going to start seeing with Anthem.
Now, one thing for Anthem, I think it kind of suffers from a little bit of one of the games that we like to play, Destiny, in vanilla Destiny D1, that the hype around it was too much.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely got hyped up to be the next big thing for sure.
And I think it's only because people were just wanting it to be something just different, give them options for something else. Also, Division actually suffered from that as well. I know you don't like that game, but I do like the game for what it was and what it was supposed to be. It did seem like a alternative to Destiny to me in a bit, but I don't know why these people keep hyping up these games to be something completely ridiculous that they know they can't offer you, or, none of this stuff can actually come to fruition. And then day one, you need 17 million patches.
Yeah, so that it's just they don't get enough development time, and I think they have issues with the publishers like EA or even Activision in the case of Destiny, where they get all this pressure trying to force this content out to get it to hit before the end of the quarter, so they can get this boosted profits from the initial game sales, and the games just aren't finished. Like, I don't put any blame on BioWare or any blame on really any of the people who are actually developing the games. I think it's just these big publishing companies that are forcing them to push these games out before they're ready. Because you're right, it doesn't make sense that you have a game that launches and then on the first day you already have a patch for the game to fix bugs.
Yeah, that should have been done in the demo. That should have been done. Actually, not even in the demo, in the beta, because the demo was saying that, hey, this is what it's going to be on day one. This is a
demo of the game, yeah. So, yeah, in the beta, you should have started taking care of these issues, and it's clear that they just don't have the time to do it.
I cannot agree with the development time, because Anthem has been in development for 6 years. Destiny 2 was in development for like a year and a half, and it should have been... Yeah, that's one of the ones that got pushed out and it shouldn't have been. I can't give credit to them on that. You guys had time. When Mass Effect 3 came out, that's when they started doing Anthem.
Okay.
They need to ass whoop for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then reading a lot of the things that people are saying, well, oh, you can't be mad at BioWare or Anthem for this. Give them time and whatnot. Everyone has day one patches. That's something that needs to stop in the industry. You cannot put out a game half-assed. There's nothing else in any industry that you would be able to do that and be okay. It's like, okay, we're going to give you 35% of what you're about to pay for fully, and then after we get your money, we're then going to fix it for you. Nobody's going to do that shit.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. You're right. And it's starting to be more like, after you pay us for the full price of the game, we're going to sell you the second half of the game as DLC in 6 months. And by then, maybe we'll have all the bugs fixed. And then you'll have probably what we considered the whole game to be when we initially launched this idea. I think you're going to continue to see that, to be honest with you. Just everything in life really is kind of switching over to these subscription models to where you never really stop paying for something. Like, it's just always something that you continue to pay for. So you're going to continue to see these games launch probably unfinished, honestly, with the idea behind them that, hey, we're launching this game as a subscription service. You're just going to keep paying for it over and over and over. You're going to keep getting these add-ons. And that's part of what you're saying, to be honest with you, I think. And you're going to continue to see it. Well, that's where the industry is going. That's where gaming is going. I think it started with Destiny. This whole idea to me of like games as a service instead of I just paid my $60, I got my game, and I'm good to go. Well, let me say console gaming, because I know you have like World of Warcraft on PC, but consoles, you're really starting to see that now. That's where it's headed. And I say that's not necessarily a bad thing, because World of Warcraft is like one of the greatest games that's been ever created. You have games that are coming out of World of Warcraft like Dota and Dota 2, which end up being services on their own. So it's just...
But a lot of those games started off free.
Yeah, they did. I can...
If that's what we're going to do, it starts off free and you want me to pay for the rest of it, yeah, I'm good with that. Don't ask me to pay $60 and this shit don't work, and then you want another $60 from me. That's what really makes me mad. And then one of the biggest issues within Anthem that is being reported everywhere, and I did not pick up Anthem. I've only seen gameplay, being able to review all of this stuff, honestly. So just forewarn, full disclosure.
Yeah, neither one of us has played Anthem. I don't intend to play Anthem, just based on the reputation of EA, and honestly, from what I've seen online, from the gameplay and from other reviews, I don't think it's a game I'm going to pick up.
So this is one of the things where I'm just like, you cannot offer this type of service or even product to anyone and expect to get great reviews or even have people coming back to you. So one of the things that's really, really a problem in Anthem is load times, and people have been trying to get around it, and it'll be in instances where the load times are so bad that once it actually cuts out some of the stories and cutscenes that you're supposed to experience within the game, it causes people to fall through the floor on the maps, all kind of crazy shit. The fix for this bug that they have is to switch from an HDD to an SSD. So you still expect me to go buy new hardware to fix your shit?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And for those of you who may not understand what we're talking about, when she says it causes you to fall through the floor in a cutscene, imagine you watching a movie and all of a sudden the view that you have of that movie just falls below the floor. You can still hear the people talking, but you have no idea what they're actually doing because all you see is just the basement in the house. You don't see anything else. So that's just ridiculous. And that's definitely something that can't happen when you launch a game initially. And that's why, like I said, they're not getting my money. So
I don't even know what to say. But it just kind of seems like the state of games is in kind of like a dire strait at this point. If you're listening to this podcast, and as we said, we're going to be talking more about gaming, technology, things of that nature, you've probably been following or have heard of the issues with Activision this year. Activision earlier this year gave a sales call speaking to their investors, saying that they had the best year that they've ever had with record profits, then went on to slash their workforce by 8%, I believe, which is about 800 workers.
Yeah, 800. So you had your best year ever. 800 people lost their job.
Yes. While in the late half, well, basically the end of 2018 in December, pretty much all of their executives jumped ship, or a large majority of their executives jumped ship. One went to Netflix, another one went to Square. And when they actually were able to, of course, recruit new people, they got $1 million bonuses. Not like $1 million or $2 million, like $15 million. But you just laid off Sally in HR?
Yeah, Sally. Hey, Sally had to go. Somebody had that money falling bonuses had to come from somewhere.
I was like, that's just insane. And one of the things that they noted on the call was that, hey, yeah, we made a lot of money, but it's not what we wanted to make. The fuck?
That's how the companies are now. That's what it is. Companies are just all about how can I maximize my profits. And keep in mind, Jessica, your president gave these companies a huge tax cut and said, oh, they're going to keep people on because they're going to be making more money than ever. So we got half of that. They're definitely making more money than ever. People still getting laid off in ridiculous numbers. So I don't know. I forgot
to say this earlier. The review for Anthem on like most of the sites and things like that, I think it's like 2.5 out of a 5. Just so we not crazy for not wanting to do that. Just wanted to say that. All right.
I'm not even gonna say anything really changed my mind. I'm pretty sure I had made my decision, but something that I'd never seen before in a video game review. Somebody that is popular, MTash, I think, put up a video review after he had early access. He had actually completed the whole game. He said it was a fun game. It's a game that you should definitely buy. 4 days later, he put up a second video and said, you know what? I was caught up in the hype. I was 100% wrong. This is not a game that you should buy. I was one of the lucky ones initially where I wasn't affected by some of the bugs. And he kind of started walking through that, hey, audio dropped out on me on the first day one time. I was able to restart the game and it was good. The second day, the game crashed, but it only happened once. You kind of expect that. And he was just saying, as the more and more I played the game, the more I realized it was unfinished, the more the bugs started to affect me, the more I realized that there's no end game. So once you beat the game, there's nothing that really keeps you going. All of the missions are kind of the same. And it's like, you know what? I cannot recommend this game anymore. So I don't know. I've never seen anybody retract a review. So that was the final nail in the coffin for me.
That's a little bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that. But back to Activision. One of the games that Activision was actually publishing was Destiny, and they've split it ways.
Yeah, parted ways with Bungie.
Yeah, they parted ways with Bungie, which is
developer for the game.
Correct. Also, I never knew this. I always thought that they went into a partnership on Destiny, or that Activision owned the IP, which intellectual property. So the fact that it came out and it was just like Bungie was like, no, this was our shit. They were just doing it. We gave them a piece of the pie.
Yeah, I think in this case, which is pretty rare in the gaming industry, I think it truly was a partnership. Like Bungie was handling the development of the IP. It was their property. They owned it. And Activision was responsible for marketing and promotion. Like literally what you would expect a company that's called a publisher. This is what a publisher does. You market the product, you sell it, you help me get it out to the masses, and we split the profits, or we split the game. Now, why they split up, I have a couple of theories. I've seen some articles too that probably explain it better, but I think it goes back to those pressures from Activision on Bungie, forcing them to put out content before it was done. I personally feel like with this situation, we might have seen a development studio saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to take this crap no more. And we're going to make this game how we wanted to make it. And that in itself comes with some risks because a game like Bungie is like Destiny. It's been out, you had Destiny 1, you got Destiny 2. This game has been out for, 5, 6, 7 years now? And we're used to a certain cadence of content coming out. And I'm not sure that we'll have that anymore, now that Bungie's kind of just doing it on their own. So I have hope for the game in that now they can really do what they wanted to do with it. But I'm also concerned because we've been through some content droughts and man, it's not pretty. Yeah, people start looking at other games. Like you just get to a point where there's literally nothing to do and there's no reason to do that nothing. So I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting kind of dynamic to see what happens with Bungie and Destiny 2 at this point.
But on that same sales call, the thing that they mentioned about Destiny was that, of course, yes, it was a profitable game. It just wasn't meeting the financial goals that they wanted. And my opinion is the microtransactions. Activision is another company that does pretty much what Jules was saying, like EA, loot boxes. Is like, oh my God, Activision does Call of Duty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And were they trying to sell in Call of Duty? If you do not know this, please look it up. It is hilarious. In Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is now a battle royale type genre game, which went from like a first person shooter that had a campaign, some other things. It had a lot of content in it.
It had that zombie survival mode that was lit.
Yeah. They went with the money, basically. And one of the things that they were selling recently for a cool $1 was a dot.
Yeah. $1 for a red dot. Like literally a dot. Like I want you to go to your computer, open up Microsoft Word, type a period, highlight it, change the font color to red. That costs $1 in the game.
In that game. And it wasn't like you still didn't have one. It was just if you wanted to change the color, $1.
Yeah.
And I think they were wanting to do stuff like that in D2, Destiny 2. They were trying to do that in the beginning and people just lost their shit. Every time they tried to do anything, they just lost it. It was just like, this makes no fucking sense. And I mean, some of the posts that were in the Bungie forums at that time were ridiculous. And that's when I think last year, they closed it. They were like, nah, you can't be in here posting all this stuff now.
Yeah, we can't have these forums can't continue like this. So yeah, they shut that thing down. But I mean, it worked. And I think the benefit again is that Bungie was truly in a partnership where they still own that game. So they had some level of pushback that could be given. Whereas these other studios, like people who develop Call of Duty, they're just wholly owned by Activision. Like they have no choice. Like they just have to put that kind of shit in the games. And it's ruining some games that are probably pretty fun. Like the people that I know who have Call of Duty or people that have played it seem to really enjoy it. But that nickel and diamond, man, I can't get with it.
You brought up a great point. It's a difference in being the shit and being a piece of shit. And I don't think that these people are getting that fine line. You see what I'm saying? I have played games where they're like, okay, this is $60 and then it's $10 for this and $12 for that. Like Horizon Zero Dawn. Love that game. But it was so much that I could do within it and still can go do, made me want to buy the next part of the DLC, which I think was like $10 or $12. That was fine. I was like, okay, I'm good with this. But you want me to pay $60 for this and then $5 for that, $8 for this, $20 for that. Nah, man, it's just not. And I know people who will sit there and be like, oh, where's cosmetic? Yeah, cosmetic is fine, but a dot.
I don't even understand that. Like, and then for the red dot, the little dot, guys, like in previous Call of Duty games, this dot, it was just an upgrade in the game. Like you played the game, you leveled up your weapon. Guess what? Now you can change the color to the red dot on the scope. And it didn't cost you anything other than time. And now they're just so the things like that in games, that's what they're taking out. And they're replacing that with, now you have to pay for that.
You know where I think this came from? And it is, to me, the biggest problem that we have in gaming. When they started doing mobile gaming like they do now, And I'm going to be very honest. It came at a time when Miss Kardashian started doing her little game where you have these, just 99 cents for this, 10 cents for that or whatever, but it's free to play.
Yeah.
And they thought, hey, we can do this in these games. Yeah, not for $60 and the rest of that. So they started doing that with the little Candy Crushes, the Clash of Clans and all the rest of that. And it caught on and it moved into console gaming. And for those of you who don't really know, there's always kind of like a divide within gaming as, if you're a mobile gamer, you're not as seen as much of a gamer. If you're a console gamer, it's like, which console are you on? If you're on PC, it's like, oh, master race type thing. So there is a bit of a divide there. And honestly, I am going to say that mobile gaming isn't as advanced as console or PC gaming. That's just my opinion. Usually it's just those little games like that have you make these little fast decisions. Oh, swipe this, swipe that type thing. And it's not really as an interactive and challenging to your mind as these other games are, which they really are, honestly. That's my opinion, though.
I agree with that. I think mobile games probably aren't I'm not even sure that you really could get something as complicated or as interactive as you can with a console or on a PC onto a cell phone. But I mean, to me, those games are just distractions while you fucking around at work. We should be getting your TPS report together, but you trying to crush these candies. So I mean, for me personally, I see those games like that. But like you say, with those microtransactions in there, I've definitely seen some people get in trouble spending hundreds of dollars on damn. Oh yeah, trying to get extra whatever, I don't even know, whatever that is, extra candies, extra diamonds, or whatever it is that you buy to skip the levels. I don't know.
You know what? I have to take it back. I don't think it is Candy Crush type thing. I think that made it really popular, but the whole Farmville thing back on Facebook is probably what did it, honestly.
Oh yeah, I remember those games too.
Oh Lord.
Buy the tokens so you can pay to get your cornfield built faster.
And those games are basically the same thing that you would probably be doing on your mobile gaming as well. Also, one thing that did come out of the whole Activision layoff fiasco type thing is that because the situation and just the landscape in gaming development seems to be so volatile, they are wanting to basically have a union for the developers and things like that, because there have been other development houses where they actually just shut down basically via a statement on Twitter, and the people were like, the fuck? And they were like, oh yeah, you're not getting no severance and everything either. And that was Telltale Games.
Telltale Games. EA did the same thing with a lot of those. Once they got the license for Star Wars games from Disney, a lot of those games that were in development just got canceled out of the blue. Like, people were literally working on the game and just get an email, hey, this game is canceled. And along with this game being canceled, so is your job. And that's just ridiculous, man.
Just shut down the developments, I'm sorry, not the development, but the actual
shutting down
development.
The studio.
Yeah, the studios.
Because they canceled the game you were working on.
They were acting like Diddy on Making the Band. I'm shutting the studio down. You probably too old. Whoever listening, you probably too old to remember that.
I'm shutting down the studio. God dog it. Well, with Diddy, at least they were still making the album. They just couldn't work in the studio that day. EA was like, nah, we shutting the studio down forever.
Period.
You can go find another studio.
But I think that would be great for them, though, because I think, honestly, a lot of the times these guys, they have to move cross country to get these development jobs. Very rarely can they do it remotely. They usually want you in-house to be able to, see your work ethic, things like that. And then you can move into, remote settings. But if they keep getting into situations where it's just like, the ground is uneven and they don't know what's going to happen, you're never going to get to that point.
Yeah, I think they do. I think for this particular industry, I think they definitely, need to unionize. Because there's, even outside of this, before you had these companies like laying people off the way that they are now, even before then, just the working conditions seem to have been like crazy. So like if they're rushing to get a game out, they would have things called crunch time, where basically people start working 18-hour days, not allowed to take vacation until the game is finished. And even then, depending on what it is, if it's a big franchise or an annualized game like Madden or something like Call of Duty, when they were really coming out with Call of Duties every year, they would finish a game and go immediately into developing the next game without having time to collect themselves after they've been working 18-hour days for 6 months trying to rush to get a game out quickly. So I think they definitely need to unionize and start fighting for their right to just have a normal life and even get these games made the way that they actually intend to make them.
I don't understand, man. I get development can be very tough and rigorous and things like that, being in that industry myself. But the whole point is that you have this brilliant mind and you're able to put this together via code and make it this brilliant experience. If I can't even focus on that because I'm so drained and depleted and things like that, why would you think that this is going to be any type of product anybody wants to pay for? I've never gotten that part. I understand you have deadlines, you need to hit this or whatnot, but you also got to think about your employees. That's why the head of Nintendo, when he was asked a few years back why he would not lay off any of his employees to cut costs, he basically reduced his salary to almost nothing.
He took a pay cut his own. Yeah.
Before he let those people go. He was like, if you don't have happy workers, you're not going to have a good product. And if you have people who are worrying about their jobs, you're not going to have a good product. I would rather have them happy than have to sit there and be in my office with all this money and my workers are unhappy. Right. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this about Nintendo too. Like if you look at their games, the games that Nintendo makes, no, they're not like the big flashy Call of Duties, Destiny 2s, but the games that they make are always extremely fun. Like I honestly can't really say when is the last time I played or even heard of a game that was developed by Nintendo. So, you know, I'm talking about like the Marios, the Legends of Zeldas, the Metroids, Mario Kart, stuff like that. Like all of those games are always fun. Even if the console they're on doesn't have the best graphics, it's not the most powerful thing in the world, it's still just a fun, quality game. And I think that CEO having that attitude, I think that kind of speaks to that.
And the games are always complete. I don't really ever hear about anyone having these ridiculous bugs or lack of content and things like that. It's always a pretty extremely great experience. So you're right, because I remember my son just loving Kingdom of Hearts. Anything else that came out for Mario or on DS, he was just, ecstatic. He would play there for hours. Whereas some of the stuff that I was trying to play on PS3 or whatnot, I was just like, damn, I'm done. What do I do now?
Guess I gotta wait for them to sell me the other half of this game for $30.
But you're right. I do think unionizing would be great for them. And it would show a lot of people who are wanting to get into this or even be a part of this industry that, hey, it is a viable industry. It's fun to do. If it's your passion, do it. Because I know a lot of kids now are probably going like, why would I get into this when I can just stream these games and bash these guys or whatnot, where they could probably be like the best developer for this. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree with that. So hopefully this is kind of the start of a turnaround for the industry.
And they're also trying to beat, juggernauts like Fortnite. That's the really big thing. They're trying to just be that next big thing that can topple Fortnite. But I think one thing that will be toppling Fortnite in court, because I'm sorry, this just had to be a joke. So in the proud tradition of shows like DashCon, Fire Festival, and NakedCon, an understaffed, underplanned, and unlicensed Fortnite party was held in the UK over the weekend. And by the way, they're being sued by Epic Games, who owns Fortnite at this point.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. I don't know anything about this, but the fact that you said Fire Festival already lets me know this is about to be some bullshit. So continue.
So Fortnite Live was held on February 16th through the 17th in the English city of Norwich. It would build itself as the ultimate Fortnite battle royale. And it would feature things like dance battles, activities like archery, rock climbing, big screen broadcasts of YouTubers, and banks of PCs to play Fortnite on. The tickets cost between $15 to $25. Just under or right at 3,000 kids showed up.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. $15, $25. Okay. I'll meet some like-minded Fortnite players to hang out. You know what I'm saying? I feel it. Okay, I'm feeling it.
The reports actually showed that there was only space for 4 children to practice archery at the same time, 1 climbing wall, and only room for 3 climbers. Attendees reported also that the PC section cost money to even go in to play.
Oh, so that wasn't included with my ticket?
That wasn't included with the $15 to $25. But as we were saying before, Fortnite is free to play. So what the hell?
What am I paying for? Why am I paying to go play it in the tent? And so what it sounds like, they had 3,000 kids showed up to what it sounds like the size of a birthday party. And then they were asked to pay a cover charge once they got to the party.
Pretty much. It basically had the exact same thing as Fire Festival because they had this hyped up clip of people, doing all this and things like that. That clip has now been taken down, but they really did the exact same thing. But I mean, almost 3,000 kids. And if you got $15 to $25, which was supposed to be something akin to like a weekend pass or something like that, I think for the higher end stuff, they were just saying that they were not expecting that since demand for the weekend passes and things like that weren't as high. I'm like, dude, you always know people are going to be late. Come on. They're going to show up at the door. Come on, let me in.
I don't understand how stuff like that happens in the age of online sales, period. Like yes, you're going to have people show up at the door, but you also see how many tickets you sold. Like, you got to have some kind of sense to say, okay, I've sold this many tickets. I know people are going to show up at the door. Maybe I should get ready for more people than I expect.
And what's funny, 4 kids for archery, 3 for the rock climbing, Fortnite. If you just say Fortnite to any kid now, they eyes light up like you said something about Santa Claus. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what I said. It sounded like they showed up to some 10-year-old's birthday party and got real disappointed real quick.
And of course, this stuff spread on social media like wildfire. So that day, a lot of people were posting pictures of what it looked like, how terrible it was, how poor it looked, things like that. And people were actually on their Facebook pages. I want my money back. I haven't even gone, but I see this trash. And then they woke up to a lovely decree of being sued by Epic Games.
Yeah, I hope they got sued to the ground doing something like that. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thought that was interesting. What was the other thing that I wanted to talk about?
We talk about Umbrella Academy.
There you go.
So have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Did you finish it?
I finished it before anybody else because I started watching it. I was off on Friday and I started watching. I was like, let me see what this is. And I was doing stuff in the house as I was, watching it and things like that. And I found myself like by the second episode, just sitting on the couch. I was no longer doing
just caught up
the chores. I was no longer doing the chores anymore.
Okay, I hear you. Umbrella Academy. I like it. I'm glad I watched it. It's a great show. I think everybody should go watch that show. It's based on a Dark Horse comic. I forgot the name of that comic book that it's based on, but it's definitely an interesting show. It's also Umbrella Academy. Okay. And basically what it is, it's about these 7 kids. They were all born on the same day under some interesting circumstances, to avoid some spoilers for you guys. And 6 of them end up having these superpowers. And this billionaire adopts these kids and tries to train them to be like a team of superheroes. And he's just the worst possible person to try to develop these kids. Like, everything just goes horribly wrong, I think. To me, it feels like, and this is kind of based on a conversation I had with some of our other friends, it seems like the show might be like, what if Professor X was just not good at helping the X-Men deal with their powers and be a hero? And I think that's what this show is.
Well, I'll give you that. I will say, just for the listeners to know, this is actually a show on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, go see it. We will try to avoid spoilers in this, but if we do let something slip, it's your own fault. I see what you're saying about that, but I see some similarities to X-Men within it. The whole, powerful being type thing, not letting them fully realize that or whatever.
So I say, yeah, he's got like the crazy training techniques for the children, but at the same time, everything is just fucked up.
I will tell you what got me, and this was actually in the first episode. As Jules said, all of these children were born on the same day. What was amazing was that minutes before these children were actually born, their mothers had no signs of them being pregnant. And it's 7 kids that he was able to find. It was 43 in total that it happened to. I'm hoping that they go into that more in the next season. I also kind of saw it as, if you're a parent, you really do get this. Like, he was doing his best. He was just like, I know that they'll need to know this stuff. I may not be going about this the right way, but this is all I know. That's where it kind of seemed to me in some instances. In other instances, I was like, damn, he's just a fucked up human being.
Yeah. Like, I wonder, and maybe we'll find this out in the second season. because there's a part where you get to see a different side of him. Because all throughout the season, he seems like he's very cold to the children. He's not really interested in them as a person, but he's just more interested in them as a tool, to meet whatever his goals are, to accomplish whatever his goal is. And I think there's a part where you see that, man, this dude might actually not have been that way. And I just wonder if something happened that we haven't seen yet that changed his personality into this cold, I make horrible training decisions guy. Like,
I also wonder if this is again a theory, if he actually had some powers in some way, shape, or form at one point in time for himself, and which is why he's doing this. And he was not able to realize his potential and save the day, which is why he's so hard on them. That's what I was thinking.
Maybe so. I was thinking that too, because, and I'm going to say this because I don't think this is really a spoiler. You notice in the first episode when he goes to get the kids, there's like a spaceship that flies through one of the scenes, and it kind of seems like that's what he's traveling in. And then, towards the end of the season, it looks like something else is going on with that too, where there might be more to him than we know. So maybe I think there's a lot of stuff to flesh out that they have now. And even this season was like, it was fantastic. It's probably one of the best shows that I've seen on Netflix in a while. And that says a lot because Netflix has some awesome shows. But I think this one just hit all my nerd spots. Like, it's actually got like a good story. All the characters kind of nuanced. Like, the villains aren't just villains just because they're evil. Like, there's a reason. And they're not always evil, And the guys are not always, in fact, the good guys are all kinds of fucked up. Like, you got the guy who's supposed to be the team leader is just the worst leader who always makes a bad decision. Like, one of the guys is just on drugs. One guy he ends up being an angry old disgruntled man. Somebody dies before it's not a spoiler because he's just dead in the first episode. He's dead before the show even starts. So
to illustrate how disconnected this man is from these children that he's taken under his wing, they're all named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They don't have names. Their names are actually given to the mother that they have that he's built. She's an android and she gives them names. The woman who's not even human gives them names. Like, that's crazy.
Names that he still does not call them.
That's true.
Right? To him, they're still number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah. And what I did find to be great about the show is that it did tell the story in a great way. I know that this is based off a comic book, and I kind of wanted to, I've always been very, very adamant and greedy, I will say, whenever stuff like this would come out and I'm very interested in it, I would go and read it all and be like, oh, okay, that's great. But I would rather kind of be surprised with this, because watching this, I was so enthralled by it and engaged with it. And I love the feeling of like, what is next type thing. But in this, I just want to wait. I don't want to sit there and go through everything else. I did the way that they told the story, though, because a lot of the times when they went to different times, different places, different periods of the kid's life, everything had a story in it. I love that.
Right. Yeah, I do like that too. I like how they kind of built the story throughout the season. And I'll say this too. Honestly, for me, I watched the first episode and my initial thought was, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, I have no idea what's going on here. I'm not sure that this makes sense, but I immediately wanted to watch the next episode. Like, the way that it just the story just kept building on itself, the way they unfolded, I guess kind of the backstory for each of the children over time. It just really built up to a satisfying conclusion.
Very satisfying. I wanted to go into their powers, but again, something to surprise you.
I
go
guess
check it out.
And let me say this about their powers. I feel like I have to say this to do justice to the other conversations that I've had about this show. Even though we're not discussing them here, if you really think about it, you still don't know what their powers are, because this guy did not develop their powers at all. Like, they're barely scratching the surface of what they can do. And you see that unfold over the course of the first season. And even at the end of the first season, you realize that for some of them, you still literally have no idea what that their powers are. Yeah, what they can do. And they don't either.
That's true. But I wonder, somebody else had brought something up like that. And their point was, he did everything he was supposed to do to get them to that point. A lot of them rebelled so much that he couldn't get past that. But now they're seeing that that wall that they were hitting was just them. He was still trying to get them to go through there, and it was everything that they needed to get there. Had they not gone through that, they wouldn't have gotten there. That is what they explained it as. And I didn't see it in the show. And once you said that, that's when I was like, you may be right. It may be a little bit of both.
Well, so, where he does whatever he does towards the end of the season, I think that could be speaking to that, where you see that, maybe he knows more about what's going on than we know at this point. Everything I'm saying is based on what I know for sure about the story right now. He was terrible. Now, it might turn out that he did exactly what needs to be done, but right now it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, not at all.
And you know what? Something else I want to say about this. I want people to realize this is not a Marvel comic. This is not a DC comic. This is actually from a company called Dark Horse Comics. And I think people get so caught up in Marvel and DC now that you kind of overlook some of these other companies that are doing comic books. So that and I know this is pretty rare, people don't really go to comic book stores anymore, but if you go to a comic book store, if you ever just find yourself somehow browsing online and you see something that looks interesting to you, don't just ignore it because it's not Marvel or it's not DC. Like, there's other comic book companies that are putting out some really, really good stories.
Oh yeah, shout out to Image Comics, Valiant, the ones that do the anime, mangas and all. Yeah, I have been saying that for years. Comics have some of the best engaging and soul crushing stories out there, not gonna lie. Some of them you like, damn, for real? But majority of them you're never left going, that was not a good story. You're never left going like, what the fuck? You may be mad, but you will always remember that story or that line, that comic, that issue, whatever. Always. Even if they go like way, way off the deep end with some shit. Norman Osborn knocking up Mary Jane type stuff like that. Even though Mary Jane was dead.
Yeah.
But hey, stuff happens.
That's the kind of things you get in comics. And you know what? That makes for good entertainment.
But yeah, there's so many other.
As long as it's not real life.
Please don't do that in real life. Please don't. Let's preface that right now. But yeah, take a walk on the wild side and just look at some of the other comics that are out there. And also, not even manga or anime out there is bad just because they turned it into a movie. I think the trend now is you have stuff like Death Note or Ghost in the Shell. But I heard that Alita Battle Angel was actually pretty good. I haven't seen that, but I need to go see it.
So, yes, I have seen Alita Battle Angel. The critics are 100% wrong. I won't get into it too much other than to say that. And I don't want to overhype you or underhype you, so I'm just saying it's definitely a movie you should go see. And the critics are wrong.
All right. We're going to move on from that and get into our last topic, which is a little bit of tech. I saw this and I couldn't believe it, but it kind of reminded me of those slap bracelets you used to have back in the day. TCL is actually creating their first, well, I don't think it'll be the first foldable phone. Will it be?
No, it's not the first foldable phone. There's definitely been foldable phones before. Like the one that I remember, I think Acer made one. It folded in half, but it was just two separate. Like it was just a hinge in the middle and two screens on either side, something like that.
Well, this one is, supposed to be a little bit different, but I think what makes this company different in how they're doing it is they're doing it across an entire line. So it'll be tablets, it'll be phablets, it'll be phones, smartwatches that'll all be foldable. So literally it will be a slap bracelet for the foldable smartwatch. So that'll be interesting to see.
Okay. I'm curious about all this technology that's coming out with these foldable screens, but I'm also concerned that it's going to be some BS. Because right now, I don't see what would be the use case for this. Like, what's so bad about being able to just put the phone in my pocket? Why do I have to wrap it around my wrist? Now, once, I'm able to wrap it around my wrist, I might be like, you know what? I was 100% wrong. I don't know why phones haven't always wrapped around your wrist where you could roll them up and stick them,
Oh, you're
so
right.
I could be wrong about that. But that's why I say I'm curious, but I don't really see where this is going. Like when LG was doing those curved phones, like that was cool, but why? Why is it curved like this? Like I don't know.
You can say that about a lot of stuff. So, but you're right. Only time will tell. Next one, Samsung Galaxy S10 is supposed to be coming out soon, and there was a wild rumor that started a few months ago about the actual specs and how much it would actually cost. So it would be like 12 gigabytes of RAM with a terabyte of storage.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's more than your laptop.
But a benchmark leak a while back, I'm sorry, not a while back, but a few weeks ago, or maybe this was over the weekend. I think it was over the weekend. This is an image that was shared from China. And of course, the money and the charges for it are in yen, so it has to be converted. But if you wanted a Galaxy S10 Plus in ceramic black, it comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors, but ceramic black is the one that's selected. 12 gigabytes of RAM with a terabyte of storage.
That. I need that. I take pictures.
10,000 yen.
10,000 yen. What's that? What's the exchange rate on that? It's like what? $800, $900,
$1,500.
$1,500. Yeah, I'm good. My laptop didn't cost $1,500.
You might as well buy a laptop.
My laptop didn't cost $1,500, so I'm good on that. Do they have a Galaxy S10? Cheap?
Oh, okay. You want a cheaper one? So 8 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes.
Oh, yeah, I'm good with 8. My laptop has 8, so I'm good with that.
You good with that? All right. How about 9,000 yuan, which comes to about $1,300?
Oh, that's so yeah. The phone is expensive. The phone is definitely expensive. That's where the phones are going, people.
Well, yeah.
That's what we're starting to see.
Yeah, iPhone did it, so that's it now. Yeah. That's all we can do. That's all we can expect.
That is it now. Now, that being said, I'm still excited for the Galaxy S10, and I'm going to tell you why, because I think we're going to start seeing finally some new stuff coming out with these phones. So from what I understand, the S10, the fingerprint reader, is supposed to be built into the screen.
Very nice.
I think if it is, that's going to be awesome. I think that's kind of a game changer. And now you see they're kind of getting rid of the bezel, like the little notch in the bezels on these phones. The S10 is going to have like a little punch out for the front camera, but it's just going to be up in the corner, but the rest of the phone is just screen. So I just got screen on the front of my phone. I think that's going to be awesome.
I'm really, is it sad that I'm wanting Marquise Brownlee to review it first?
I mean, you got to look at it this way. At this point with the Samsung Galaxy series, setting aside the astronomical price of this phone, if they have like all of that new stuff, I think it's going to be a fantastic device. Am I going to buy it? I don't know, because $1,500 on my cell phone just don't seem like a thing that Jules would do.
That's not a great investment.
No, it's not, man. Your cell phones break, man.
Oh, Lord.
And I know people will say that's what insurance is for, but man, cell phones break more than once. Like, what's going to happen if just, God forbid, I drop it 2 times and I can't use my insurance anymore? I just got to get another $1,500 phone? Like, I could have, that's $3,000 on the phone. I could have put a down payment on a Tesla Model 3. You know?
I've been watching some Tesla videos on people having horrible experiences and trying to get Teslas, either buying them used. Oh, we'll have to talk about that another time. We
definitely going to talk about that because I'm like Mr. Tesla. Let me tell you something. If I owned a house, I would be a dude from the hood that just is like, you know what, fuck everything. I just got to get this car note paid so I can have this Escalade. That's how I would be with my Tesla Model S. Fuck everything else I got in my life. I got to get this car note paid. The only reason I don't do that is I don't have a house. It's ridiculous if you have an electric car and you're trying to plug it up in the parking lot of your apartment complex or in the garage of your apartment complex. And that's all I have to say about it. Don't let me see you trying to run an extension cord out to your car because I'm going to roast you.
So messed up.
You knew damn well you didn't have a garage to plug that thing up. You did it to yourself.
So messed up. Okay, that'll probably have to be on the next episode. And because I can see that in the hood, like if they knew. But yeah. That's sad. That's real sad.
It's that same thing. That dude that's eating ramen every day, all day, but he got that Escalade though. It's that same guy that's gonna be, let me call you right back. I gotta take this cord out to my car. I gotta run my cable real quick.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm done. All right. We want to thank you guys for tuning in for the first episode of
Cool Black Nerd Podcast, presented by SayWHA Radio.
As always, please continue to follow us on social media. SayWHA Radio for all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. Again, thank you for tuning in. As always, the biggest compliment you guys can give us is to really, really, really share, like, subscribe, review the show on iTunes, Google Play, thumbs up on Facebook, everything. Tell your family, friends about the show. We may not be everybody's cup of tea, but hey, let them listen and we can come to an agreement. You know, you like this, don't like this. But that was funny. Yes, it was. Thank you for tuning in. Catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.